Begin the current Daf Mesechta Kesuvos Daf Avav. We begin on the top line of the Amid. We continue the discussion of the previous Daf regarding the halacha of Bia B'tchilot B'Shabbos, regarding having Bia the first time on a Friday night, which is related to the discussion regarding what actually it would be the problem on Friday night. Today's Daf. Some things we discuss in today's Daf are, like I said, having Bia B'tchil B'Shabbos. The reason why this obviously is being discussed over here is because we brought in the Brisa, which related to the beginning of the Mesechta, beginning of the Parak, regarding Besul and Nisas Le'Revi. We spoke about a Besul getting married on a Wednesday. We said we give her 4 nights till we're discussing regarding as it relates to consummating the relationship. The question is, could that be done on Friday night? Regarding if you have a girl that she didn't really reach her age from getting a period, and then she gets married. Now there's certain dam that comes automatically from the besulim, from the hymen, which when that ruptures is blood that comes out. At the same time, we don't really know is it dam nid or is it dam besulim. So the machlekes Rishon Beisil regarding how much time do we give the girl to suspend and say that this is not the blood of nida, but rather it's the blood of besulim. Additionally, related, the chassan is pater to recite Shema on the day of his marriage because he's tortured to the mitzvah, and the oisig of the mitzvah is pater in the mitzvah. Now we get into a discussion regarding different proofs regarding how that relates to Bia on Shabbos. Is he doing the Bia's mitzvah? Is he not doing? Would he be pater from Kriya Shema or not? Avol, on the other hand, he's chayiv in all the mitzvahs that are written in the Torah, except from Tefillin, even though he is also Torah, but it's not a tier to the mitzvah for that to be in a state of sorrow, in this conscious state of mourning, and therefore he would be chayiv in all the mitzvahs. Davar she'in miskaven, the ideas is constantly discussed today is our davar she'in miskaven, which is something that's unintended to be done. We have many times in Shas, Mesechta Shabbos, that if that would be considered as a liability of doing malacha, although psik reish, which is if you're chopping off the head of the chicken, even though you don't really care for it, if it's inevitable, then everyone agrees that you can be chayiv. Shushbin are the attendants that they gave for the man and the woman, the chas and the kala, to find if there is dam, if there's not dam. The woman shouldn't make believe that there was dam, to make sure that she was actually a besula when they get married. So we begin the current Daf, the Vav, on the top line of the Amid. We're resuming the discussion of Bia B'tchil B'Shabbos, regarding doing the initial Bia on Friday night. And there were 2 possible issues we discussed in the previous Daf. One is Chabura, which is prohibited on Shabbos, to go ahead and create a wound. Or 2 is Asiyas Pesach, which is possibly considered as binyan. Now, as we discussed in detail on the previous Daf, there's simple factors and opinions that have to come together for it to be usher for either one of the 2 reasons. So, on the one that you say would be us a little bit chil b'Shabbos mishum chabura. Let's say it's a wound. That would only be first of all, dam chibur mechaber. If the blood is actually inside the capillaries, inside the person's body, and you ladam mutzarach, so therefore it's considered something that's miskaven. You want that blood, and you're making chabura. Or halacha Rabbi Yehuda, the davar she'miskaven is aser. Although you're not intending to go ahead and get the blood out. You let's say want it for something else, your own hana, but ultimately you're making chabura, and Yehuda holds that davar she'miskaven be aser, and you're misakin b'chabura. You're actually doing a constructive act when you're making the chabura. Or halacha Rabbi Shimon and mekalka b'chabura with chayv. So you would have to have all those 3 variables to be chayv for chabura. 1, that the blood is connected. 2, that either you need the blood or halacha Rabbi Shimon that davar she'miskaven is aser. And then you still need to have that the act of chabura has to be a tikkun, constructive, because mekalka you're generally potter from. So you have to have either that it's a masakan, or like Rabbi Shimon that holds mekalka b'chabura would be chayv. On the other hand, regarding, you could also say it would be forbidden to do Bia Friday night of a Pesach, because you're making an opening. But only if we hold either the Pesach Utzarach, you're intending you need that, or halacha Rabbi Yehuda holds davar she'miskaven is asas, although you're not intending to make an opening, ultimately you're making an opening. And Mesakin is Pesach, like Taisa said, that it's considered tikkun because it's easier to go ahead and have this Bia now that there's an opening. So that would be the 3 conditions in either one of those stadim we had. What's actually the problem here? Either chabur mechaber or because that of a Pesach. So therefore, that's why our Gemara continues, and we have a shayla. Mut a little bit chil b'Shabbos or us a little bit chil b'Shabbos? Meaning, do you hold all those variables? What's the actual halacha? So that's what the Gemara begins on the top of Vav Med Aleph. The Beit Rav Amri, the yeshiva of Rav, they said that Rav Shari, Rav says it's permitted. Shmuel says it's forbidden. Now that was in the yeshiva of Rav. But in Arda, which was the place of Shmuel, they said the opposite. Rav says forbidden to do Bia initially Friday night, and Shmuel says permitted. He said b'semonich and in a manik that you shouldn't make a mistake to switch up what was said in the yeshiva of Rab to Narda and to switch what was said in Narda to that of the yeshiva of Rab is Elu by the yeshiva of Rab where they have to do that like their Rebbe Mikil and La'atzman. They're leaning for themselves. They say that it was their Rebbe that was the one that permitted. The Elu in Nardai, who they do like Shmuel, their teacher, Mikil Latzman, they're leaning for themselves, and they say that Shmuel is the one that was permitted. That's just a simon. That wasn't actually what they did it for, but that's how you can remember which one in Nardai or Yeshiva of Rab said who was the one that said it's mutter and who was the one that said that it's asa. But be that as it may, going according to the first version, that Rab is the one that says it's permitted and Shmuel is the one that says it's forbidden, says the Gemara, Rav Shari? Really, Rav's the one that permits to have be initially a Friday night? Obviously, something that you're not intending to do. Because either one we said that you have, by Chibur Mechaber or making a Pesach, that if you're going to say that it's a Chabur or Pesach, then if it's a Davashen Meskaven, which it is, that you're not intending to do, at least when the Gemara is going with that approach, so then it would be permitted according to Rabbi Shimon. According to Yehuda, well, Davashem Meskaven is Aser, so then it's going to be forbidden. So Rav is the one that's being quoted as saying it's permitted. So obviously Davashem Meskaven, because you're not intending for it, Rav holds it's going to be permitted. Problem is, Rav himself is quoted as saying the following halacha. Which Rashi translates that as that they would take a rag and they would close up the hole in the barrel, which is where the spigot is, where you take out the beer through the hole. They close it up with some type of a rag. The halacha is, you're not allowed to push it into the hole on Yom Tiv because of schita, because of squeezing out taste. There's two different discussions regarding what type of schita is it. Would it be that of malabin? There's two types of schita in general. There's squeezing out of laundering, and there's squeezing out of the telod of dash, of threshing of bathari. This has arichas, and this is the way the famous aruch is quoted, that Davashem, that regarding if it's a psikresh delay nichale, as the Gemara is going to quote in a moment. But there's a question exactly what the type of schita that we're actually talking about, or it's actually not talking about schita, it's a boina, because you want to keep it inside and you're going to close it up. It's like closing up a hole. But be that as it may, one thing we see is that Rav is being quoted as saying that a davashen miskavin, you're not intending to go ahead and squeeze out the rag. You just want to close up the hole. And yet you see Rav said it's going to be usher. That contradicts what we're quoting from the Bei Rav, that they said that you're allowed to do a davashen miskavin. You're not intending to make a chabur when you're doing peace mitzvah. You just want to have your own pleasure. You just married this woman. You want to consummate the relationship. You're not intending to make a Pesach. And still Rav says that it's going to be permitted. But here he's quoted as saying that it's forbidden to do a davashen miskavin, to do an unintended act. Says, well, no, that's very different by the rag with the barrel of beer. But who after Rabbi Shimon? Did they even Rabbi Shimon, who he's the one that holds davashen miskavin as mutter? He would agree it would be usher. You know why? Because the Bible, they both say, Moedu Shimon agrees. Regarding when you're, again, it's a Talmudic terminology, but it refers to you're going to chop off the head of a chicken. Well, the Yom it's not going to die. Basically means to say, even if you're not intending to kill the animal, you just want the head, of course the animal is going to die. So therefore, by the case of the barrel of the beer, the reason why Rav says Aser is because even Reb Shimon, who he's the leading opinion, holds davashen miskavin is mutter. That's only when it's not inevitable. But when it's inevitable that you're going to put the rag into the hole to close it up, it's going to squeeze out the rag, you're going to be doing schita, there even, everyone would agree, even those who permit it generally will hold that it's forbidden. Now, once we're over here, by the case of Beleil Shabbos, why do you say it's also going to be inevitable that you're making a petach or you are making a chabura? So that the Gemara is going to explain later on that those who are proficient, that they're actually able to have the biyah in a tilt, that they're actually not going to make a pesach, they're actually not going to make a chabura. So here it's not inevitable, so that's the difference. Here you can say it's mutter to biyah Friday night, but over there he's going to say it's forbidden because it's inevitable. So that the Gemara asks, and again that's what I was saying, that this is the famous arch of psikresh nichale, where if something that you're doing that's inevitable but you don't really want it, that would be something that would be permitted. But the Gemara asks, the Gemara asks, how can you say this, that Rav is really going like Reb Shimon, that he holds davashen miskavin is actually mutter? It's just by the case of the rag, this is going to say it's forbidden because it's a psik reshe. But Rav is quoted saying halacha Rabbi Yehuda. by the halacha of Emes Gavin. And the halacha of Emes Gavin Rabbi Yehuda is that it's going to be forbidden. And Rav Chanan bar Rabbi Yom Shmuel, he says the name of Shmuel, the halacha of Rabbi Shimon. And the Gemara just says, Rav Chia bar Avin Masnu he taught this machlekes b'lei Gavri, meaning it's not Amiram according to Rav and Amiram according to Shmuel. Rather, it's Rav and Shmuel himself. It's just a different version. The Rav Malach Rabbi Yehuda, the Dav Shem Eskavin is Aser, Ushmuel Malach Rabbi Shimon that's going to be permitted. So the question back is again, how could Rav say in our sugya that it's going to be permitted to have bia on Friday night initially when you're making chabur or making a opening, which is blaina, because you're not intending. Rav himself is quoted as saying that Dav Shem Eskavin is going to be Aser like Rabbi Yehuda. So the truth is Rav Rabbi Yehuda is real. You're right. He holds like Rabbi Yehuda that generally Dav Shem Eskavin is going to be Aser. Even so, over here, it's going to be permitted. And this might have been niggling in your head, where we, if you recall, even said that there's a few variables to make it Aser. For some reason, the Gemara was assuming that it was the second variable. There was either Chabur, Bechaber, or Pesach, or making a Pesach. Then there was about Dav Shem Eskavin, and then there was another variable. That the Gemara is actually going to that variable right now. So up until then, we were assuming that, it's based on Dav Shem Eskavin. And that's why the one that would be saved mutter would say mutter, and the one that says Dav Shem Eskavin also would say Aser. Now the Gemara is saying no. Could be Rabbi also could be Yehuda that Dav Shem Eskavin is Aser, and still you're going to say it's going to be permitted. Why? So he says, I'll tell you in each one why that's the case, because they're the third variable. According to the one that says Damifkid pocket, that the blood is deposited, there's no problem, but Chabura, you're not making a wound, it's just like opening and the blood's coming out. The Isser is only because of a making of a Pesach. Okay, Mekalkal Huetzla Pesach. It's a destructive act regarding the Pesach, because like Taisa says, that Pesula is better off than the Be'ula. And by Mekalkal, Rabbi Yehuda, who Rav holds that it's going to be permitted. So it's for that reason that's going to be permitted. You're right, Dav Shem Eskavin is Aser, but it has to also be constructive act. It's a destructive act, so it's not going to be forbidden. And Lahachlish, according to that version that says Dam Mechabur Mechabed, that the blood is connected, and it's going to be a wound. Mekalkal Bechaburu, it's a destructive act regarding a Chabura. And Rav holds like Rabbi Yehuda all along his party line that also Mekalkal Bechabura leniently, not like Rabbi Shimon, where Rabbi Yehuda says he's going to be pater. On that, Rav says, yes, I hold like Rabbi Yehuda that Dav Shem Eskavin is Aser, but it's only if it's a constructive act, and since it's a destructive act, therefore it's going to be permitted, therefore it's not difficult on the opinion of Rav. But however, the Gemara continues this discussion. Master Rav Chizda. Rav Chizda asks, on the version of Shmuel, the way we said in the yeshiva of Rav, that Shmuel held that it's Aser to do Bia initially on Friday night, Rav Chizda asked from a Mishnah from Mesechta Nida. Mishnah says, Tinoikis, a young girl, Shlehigiyaz Manaliris, that it hasn't yet reached her time to see Dam Nida, to have her menstrual cycle, which the Gemara Mesechta Nida explains when is the time for her expected to see. It was when she reaches Yomei, when she reaches puberty. But the girl is a young girl, she's a 7-year-old girl, and she got married, and Venissus, she gets married. Now, Bishamim, they say that Noisin Law Arba Leilis. They give her 4 nights that any blood that she sees because of intimacy, we're going to presume that it's Dam Besulim, that the blood is Hymenal blood, which obviously the nafkamina is that if a woman generally sees blood coming out of the Isa Makim, so generally you say that, okay, we have to treat her as a Nida. But here we're not going to presume her to be a Nida because she's a 7-year-old. No one's expecting her to have a period. So we're going to say for 4 nights after Bia that she's having, we're going to say that Dam is Dam Besulim, which is the hymen, it's a ruptured muscle, and that's expected that there should be blood coming out. So we'll say it from that. But still, they say no, until the wound gets healed. Meaning, as long as she's not having intimacy without blood, that means they didn't heal yet. It's very sensitive. And therefore, as long as that is still there, we're going to say that she can go ahead and not be considered as a nida. That's if lo higiyaz manaleres. What's if higiyaz manaleres? What happens if it already became time for her to see, but she just didn't see yet? She's already that age of puberty, but she didn't get a period yet. Vanessa, and she gets married, let's say she's a 13-year-old girl, whatever it is, and she never got, but it's that timing. So Bishamim, they say, in this case, they only give her the first night, but as Rashi points out, even many be'ilos, even if they cohabit many times, but that whole first night we're going to say it's Dam Sulam. Basilim, they say no ad Matzah Shabbos, up until Matzah Shabbos, for a period of our Baal Leilis. Now, if you recall, why is Matzah Shabbos 4 nights? That's what opened up the Masechta with, because a woman gets married on, the Basur gets married on a Wednesday. So there's Thursday night, Friday night, Matzah Shabbos, and meaning Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, and Matzah Shabbos. Says the Gemara, and this is the point of the Gemara's question. My love, isn't it telling us, when you tell me Arba Leilis Ad Matzah Shabbos, well, obviously, Arba Leilis is Matzah Shabbos. Aren't you telling me the Eloi Baal that if you didn't do a full-fledged biyah, but you didn't do a complete act of biyah, that Matzi Baal, you go ahead and do biyah, and every blood that's going to be constantly coming out, we're going to presume it's done besulim. And what we hear from this is that you're allowed to go ahead and make a biyah that's a chabura, because you're making the blood come out. I feel b'Shabbos, even on Shabbos. That's what you're saying. It sounds like you're saying that for 4 nights, that we're going to know it's going to be coming out dam besulim, and that's what you're saying. Our Baal Leilus Ad Matzah Shabbos is telling you that you can go ahead and do a chabura on Friday night, which is not like Shmuel, who said that you're not allowed to do initial act of biyah that's going to create dam on Friday night because of a chabura. Some of the Rabbi says, no, lebar Shabbos. These 4 nights are besides for Shabbos. It's a period of 4 days, but you can't do it on all 4 days. You can only do it on 3 out of the 4. So Baya says, and this discuss in greater length about the minutiae of all these questions the Gemara is asking, but Baya says, but Matzah Shabbos are Baal Leilos Ketan. How could you say that? But you tell me 4 nights until Matzah Shabbos. You can't say except for Shabbos because you're getting married on a Wednesday. So you're going to have Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night. The Matzah Shabbos is only you get 4 nights up until Matzah Shabbos. Say until Matzah Shabbos, don't say 4 nights. We know Matzah Shabbos is 4 nights. If you're saying 4 nights, it sounds like each and every night you're allowed to do the biyah, and therefore you see that we're going to say that's dam besulim, and that's not like Shmuel, who says it's forbidden to go ahead and make a chabura on Friday night. Selam Rabba rather says, Rabba, no. When did we say that you could do Friday night? Is Kishabal. Yeah. Up until Matzah Shabbos, we're going to be toiling down besulim. We're going to give you 4 nights, and including Friday night, but Friday night is only if you did a full act of biyah on one of the previous nights, on Wednesday night or Thursday night. Says the Gemara, what are you talking about? Ika Shabal, if you tell me that he already did a full biyah, and you're not coming to tell me but that you're permitting the blood that's going to come out, you're going to be toila, you're going to say that it's dam besulim, but it's not coming to tell me anything regarding making a chabur on Friday night. So why are you saying Ad Matzah Shabbos? My kamash malan. Just say we give her 4 nights, and that's it. And obviously that you're including Friday night, but if you tell me the chiddush is only if the person already did a full biyah, so what's the point of telling me until Matzah Shabbos? You tell me you give me 4 nights. As Tais explains, like the 4 nights is up until forever. You could go a whole year with 4 nights. Telling me on Matzah Shabbos would seem to sound like that it's something unique about each one of these nights, that even if you didn't do a full-fledged biyah, because of dam besulim wouldn't be toilet in these 4 nights. Meaning until Matzah Shabbos. Why until Matzah Shabbos? Let's say it wasn't Matzah Shabbos. Let's say they didn't do all these 4 nights. Let's say they did it once a week. So why are you saying until Matzah Shabbos? Just say 4 nights. Because we're toilet dam besulim for 4 nights. Saying until Matzah Shabbos sounds like there's something unique about these 4 nights. That would only be unique if you tell me you could do initial biyah and you tell me you could do a chabura. Because if not, there's no chiddush until Matzah Shabbos. Just tell me 4 nights. So it says the Gemara, no, Kamash Malam the Shor middle b'Shabbos. Yes, there is a chiddush over here that you're allowed to do a biyah on Friday night. What's the chiddush? You tell me you already did a biyah once before. Faket, Leil Shishi, Leil Shabbos is everyone has biyah then. What's the chiddush? No, Kiddush Shmuel. Shmuel says Pirtza Dechuka, which is a euphemism, which is a tightly closed breach, which is hard to get in. Mutli comes by b'Shabbos. You're allowed to go into such an area on Shabbos. Again, it's a euphemism. But although you're making pebbles come out, that it's because you have to push your way in, but it's a very tight area. You're allowed to go into such opening on Shabbos. So here also that maybe you're going to make a small chabur, but it's a suffix. Misafik, we're not going to make it aser because it's not miskaven, and it's not a situation, not inevitable that's going to happen. That's the chiddush that on Friday night that even though it's not totally open, it's tightly pressed. Yeah, you had bia once before, and you're not necessarily going to make a chabura. That's the chiddush to say that you can go ahead and do it on Friday night. That's what we're saying, these 4 nights until Motzei Shabbos, to do it on this Friday night, where it's just started, just fresh over here, and there's still some tzroiros over here, there's still some pebbles, and it's very tightly pressed. Still, once it's open, then you're allowed to, but you're right, if you didn't do bia at all, then Shmuel would say that it would be forbidden to do bia on Friday night because of making chabura or making of the Pesach. Now, the Gemara asks, must Rav Yisrael the asked from Mishnah Masechtas Brachos. Mishnah says, Chasen patim Kriya Shema Leila Rishon. A Chasen is exempt from saying Kriya Shema the first night of the wedding, ad Motzei Shabbos, up until Motzei Shabbos, im le'osa ma'aseh. If he didn't do the action, the first night for sure he's exempt because he's very busy, perturbed about how he's going to perform the first mitzvah and the third mitzvah period. But after that, if he didn't do the ma'aseh yet, we give him up until Motzei Shabbos and he doesn't have to say Kriya Shema. Says the Gemara, my love, isn't this that we're saying he's patim saying Kriya Shema on Friday night? You tell me till Motzei Shabbos he's going to be patim Kriya Shema if he didn't do the mitzvah yet. Isn't it that the Torah, that is because he's busy with the mitzvah, because the boiler middle, because he has to do bia, he's come back from shul on Friday night and he's saying Shalom Aleichem, and he's like, hey, how am I gonna, and he can't say Kriya Shema because he can't focus, because al isik b'mitzvah is patim in a mitzvah, even on Friday night. That's again another question on Shmuel. He says you're not allowed to do bia on Friday night. What's Mr. Torah? What are you busy with? You don't have to do it tonight. Tonight you're not doing it. Tonight it's forbidden to do it. Obviously, it's not like Shmuel that there is a mitzvah to do it on Friday night. Abai says, no, not a difficulty on Shmuel. The Torah deloibo. He's actually perturbed that he didn't do the bia. He's in pain that he didn't do it. He says, what's wrong with me? He's like, look at this. You know what I'm saying? I already got married on Wednesday. It's already Friday night. And he's all perturbed about that he didn't do, but not that you have to do it, because to the contrary, like Shmuel, you're not allowed to do it. But that's when he's tired that he didn't do it. He's like, I have to go do it on Motzei Shabbos now. He's like, and the whole Shabbos, he's worried about that. Therefore, he's patim from the mitzvah of Kriya Shema. So now Rabbi asks, he says, what are you talking about? Mishum tear the pater because of just being perturbed. You're saying that he's going to be pater? What? Because of tsar, a person's pater, if he's not busy thinking about how to actually perform a mitzvah? Because you tell me he's really pater according to Shmuel. He's just saying he's bothered by it? If that's the case, if someone has a ship, someone's boat sank in the sea. The pater think he's pater saying Kriya Shema because he lost $10 million in that days in the stock that just plummeted? And that when your stock sink or your boat sinks, whatever it is, that you be patim saying Kriya Shema. He says even more than that. He says a mourner who is for sure toward b'machshavos, he's for sure perturbed about what's going on in his life. Chayiv b'chol mitzvahs Torah. He's obligated all the mitzvahs and the Torah. Chutz is one exception. Minat film. Shenem ben pe'er, because it says a pasuk in Yechezkel pe'er chochav v'shalecha, that by Yechezkel he was the one exception that even though he was a mourner, he was supposed to wear his tefillin. Whereas a regular mourner, he's in the dust and his head is in a state of disgrace. That wouldn't be the splendor for the tefillin to be wearing tefillin. But you see, he's chayv all the mitzvah of Torah. Why? He's in place of tsar. I thought tsar should make a person pater because he's Torah. So Elam Rabbi says, no. Most definitely, you cannot answer this that a chassan is pater from Kriya Shema on Friday night because he didn't do the bia. Because if that would be the case, that would not make him pater, because he's not being Torah right now and performing a mitzvah. Rather, Rabbi says what you have to say is Tanoihi. It's Machlekes Tanoim. If you're allowed to do bia for making chabura on Friday night. The one that says that it's asur to do bia on Shabbos, meaning Shmuel, says Rava, he has to say that his teaching is totally in the Machlekes Tanoim. Because here we see clearly that there are Tanoim that say you could do bia on Friday night. There are other Tanoim who say you're not allowed to do it, who do hold like him. But you, obviously from this question that you see, obviously the chassan that's part of Kriya Shema on Friday night must hold not like Shmuel that you can do bia on Friday night, because else you wouldn't be part of from saying Kriya Shema because he didn't. That wouldn't be a good enough excuse. And where do you find that it's a machlekes tanaim that there are those who hold like Shmuel and those who don't hold? The Talmud Chadav. Because you learn in one brayso that says, Im lo asa ma'aseh b'rishon. If you didn't do the action on the first night, so you're part of Kriya Shema. Af b'sheni, also on the second night. If b'sheni, if you didn't do it on the second night, pata b'shlishi, you're part even on the third night. Now, B'tani, they will in another brayso that says, Zidishu b'sheni pata. No, the first night, which is Wednesday night. B'sheni, and the second night, which is Thursday night. Pata exam. But Shlishi, Friday night, which is Shabbos, and that you're not allowed to do Bia, is Chayiv, you're going to be Chayiv in Kriya Shema. So you see, this is the Machlekes Tanoim. We're going to the third night, which is Friday night. If you put them in Kriya Shema, is this Machlekes in Shmuel's Halacha. Machlekes Rav and Shmuel, at least Shmuel has to say that those who say not like him and those who say like him, if you're allowed to be initially Friday night or not. Now, Abaya, says the Gemara, he would tell you that no. Abaya was trying to show you how everyone could be like Shmuel. He would tell you, Hasam over there, that Machlekes Tanoim, Nami B'Tirda Pliki. No, they're actually also disagreeing in the halacha of Tirda, meaning that the one that says Yepatim and Kriya Shema is not because you're allowed to do Bia on Friday night, which would be not like Shmuel. No, everyone holds like Shmuel that it's forbidden to do Bia on Friday night. But there is an opinion that holds that if you have the pain of a mitzvah, Yepatim and Kriya Shema, even if you're not doing the mitzvah. Rabbi asked from the case of an Avel. So Rashi explains, no, Avel is not the same thing. Because that tirda that you have is what's called tirda de reshut. Your tsar is not a mitzvah. The avelis is a mitzvah, not the tsar. So therefore, the one that holds you're going to be a pater from Kriya Shema is because you're a tirda de mitzvah. The one that holds you're going to be chayim in Kriya Shema holds, no, tirda is not a Torah, because you're not actively engaged in trying to perform a mitzvah. But everyone can hold like Shmuel that it's us to do be on Friday night. That's what Abai would tell you. But and like they said, because he holds like Shmuel, that he's trying to find that everyone can hold like Shmuel as much as possible. The Gemara continues and says that Rava, who he said that it's permitted to do Bia on Friday night or not, that is the Machlekes Tanoim. Bahana Tanoi Kahana Tanoi. So then that Machlekes Tanoim is like the following Machlekes Tanoim, which is explicit. Which, that's what Taisa points out. You see, it is a little head to Machlekes Tanoim. So he says, you're right, whatever he could say is like Shmuel, he'll try. Although there are definitely those who seem to be disagreeing with Shmuel. Where do we find that this same Machlekes Tanoim, if you could do Bia on Friday night, is the same in other places? It's kind of like in the Brisa. Hakoyne says Abasulam. If someone goes ahead and gets married to a Besula, Lo Yivol B'Tchil B'Shabbos. So it's explicit that we see that you're not supposed to go ahead and do Bia on this Friday night. Chacham says it's permitted. So you see explicitly that this is the Machlekes Tanoim if you do Bia on Friday night or not. Says the Gemara, Man Chacham, who are the quote-unquote sages that say it's permitted to be on Friday night? So Rabbi says Rabbi Shimon. The one that he says, Del B'Shem Miskam is mutter. If it's not intended, so it's going to be permitted. So even though you might be doing malacha of Pesach, you might be doing malacha of Chabura, but that's okay. Rabbi Shimon holds that that's not intended, if it's going to be permitted. But on that, Abai says, what do you mean? How could it be going like Rabbi Shimon that it's going to be permitted? But Rabbi Shimon agrees that when you're doing something that's inevitable, that it's going to be aser. Over here, it's inevitable when you're doing the bia that you're going to be either doing boina because you're making the Pesach, or you're going to be doing that of chabura when you're having the bia. So why is this any different? Like we said, the mesachra, you've been naziyasa, like regarding the rag that you're going ahead and you're putting into the barrel of beer, where we said that even Rabbi Shimon would agree there's going to be aser, and that's where we said that Rav wouldn't be difficult. It says in Mutta, at least according to that shot and the having of the Gemara. Here also, it should be us to do it on Friday night, even according to Rabbi Shimon. So Malay says, no, loika halolo bavliim. Not like these Babylonians. Shein bikin bahatiya, that they're not proficient in tilting. Ella, yes, bikin bahatiya. Rather than those who are proficient in tilting, they tilt to the side, and they don't have any blood coming out because of the way that they penetrate. They don't do it in a way that's going to rupture the hymen. And therefore, it's not inevitable that the chabur is going to happen. Says the Gemara, if that's the case, that they are proficient, they're professionals, so toired lama. So you told me before that since they're toired, they're going to be put from Kriya Shema. So if it's not, if everyone's not like the Babylonians, that they know how to do this so well, they're so adroit and so adept at doing this, so why are they so? And again, this is the first time that we're saying that the Besuma is still there. So why are they put from Kriya Shema? It's like taking a walk in the park. Why would you be so tired? Why would you be put from Kriya Shema? Says the Gemara, it's l'she'ein baki. It's for the ones who are. Taisa says a little bit differently. It says everyone in B'shas Ma'isa is like an baki. But for those who are not, you're right. For those who are not so proficient, they're the ones that were saying a part from Kriya Shema. Says the Gemara, what do you mean? Yomi just say Baki mutter. Say that the professionals are allowed to have bia initially on Friday night because it's not inevitable. Shayna baki usher. The one who's not baki says, you're telling me a blanket statement that it's usher for everyone to have bia on Friday night. Why would or mutter? How can you say mutter or usher? Depends. The baki should be permitted. The ain't baki should be usher. Says the Gemara, no roi bekin hen. Most of them are proficient, and therefore, in general, we presume that it's not secretion blameless. It's not inevitable, and therefore, Rabbi Shimon says the chacham hu amatim. That's what Rabbi Shimon says. Yes, since the double shem is going to be mutter because most of the people are bekin, so therefore, it's going to be permitted. But then the Gemara asks, in that the case, since you tell me that they're so proficient that they know how to do the bia without dam, so sheshbinin. We learned in the Brisa later in the Bezim and Aleph that they would appoint 2 attendees, the sheshbinin, one for him, one for her, so that they should attend to the chasna and kala. In other words, they should check afterwards the sheet, the cloth, to make sure that there was no trickery going on over here regarding times basulim. They try to make sure that he doesn't get rid of the blood to make it, hey, I didn't find any blood, she wasn't basulim, to get off from the kesuba 100. Or whatever it is he wants to get out of. And she shouldn't just spill some blood to make believe that it was. We have 2 attendants to be in charge. And that says the Gemara, Lama, what's the point of having these sheshbinim if you tell me that they're proficient in tilting, that there's not going to be dam? So what does it help to have the attendant to see if there's dam or not? He's going to know how to do it in a way there's not going to be any dam anyway. So he's going to be able to say, hey, there's no dam. You're going to have the attendant checking. What are you checking for? You're not going to, he knows how to do it in the way there's no dam going to come out anyway. So what's the point of having the attendant? And mapulama, what's the point of having the cloth to verify if he has basum or not? It doesn't make a difference. He's not going to have any dam coming out over here. I said to him, Hasam over there, Shema, maybe he's not going to tilt. And maybe dam is going to come out. And you're going to see dam, but the evidence is going to get lost if there's no cloth and there's no attendance. And he's going to say, hey, I didn't find any dam. So that's why you need to have the cloth. Because even if he will tilt, if he's going to come and claim, they're going to say, I'm still a basulam. But the problem is going to be if he doesn't tilt, and then there is dam, and there's no attendant, no cloth, then he's going to get away with it because then she's not a basula anymore. We're going to say, hey, there's no dam, because there was no attendant. So it's important to have, the Tais doesn't like this Pshat Rashi because Iker Chassan HaSefer, but that's how Rashi learned. Tais says going on Friday night, it's a certain type of case. But that's how the Gemara is answering according to Rashi, that you're right, he could tilt, and you're right, maybe then it's going to be a moot point, there's not going to be any blood, but at least she'll still say, then you're right, then I'm still a basula, because he did in a way that didn't rupture the hymen. But in case he does, then there is going to be dam. So we need to make sure it's intended just in case, that he shouldn't go ahead and get rid of the dam and claim that she wasn't a basula. But Moshe Rami, one more question the Gemara has on this opinion of Shmuel, who Shmuel said that it's usher to do bia initially on Friday night, but Mishnah said this idiots. Mishnah says hamapis mursa. If someone pops a blister or a pimple, a boil, so he makes an opening by popping it. If he does this b'Shabbos, it depends. Im lasas lopeh, if his intention was to make the blister, the boil better, meaning to make an opening for another day, and that it should be opening, which, as Tais explains, meaning a pesach is only if you make it lahachnas lahaitzi. So it's you need air to get in, and you want the mucus to get out. So you're making an opening. It's a bona fide opening. Then chai. Then you can be liable because you're making a pesach, which you chai for baina. Because as Rashi points out, there's even baina by a living person. Because it says v'yiven es atzela, when Hashem made Chava, it says he built the side of Adam and he made Chava out of that. You see that it's appropriate terminology of baina on a person too. So in this person now, you're doing baina because you're making an opening in the person's flesh, which is lahachnas laitzi. So if that's your intention, you're going to be chai. But then laitzi men aleichem, your whole intention was only to get the fluid out of the boil. So then as you continue to have a out, then potter, you're going to be potter. Now as Rashi explains, the halach is not only like you're potter, but it's potter and it's mutter, even like a chila, as the Gemara says in the beginning of Masechet Shabbos, Gimel with Aleph, which Tais has all discussion regarding that. It's because of tsar, but here also then therefore should be the same thing because it's a devar mitzvah. But be that as it may, the Gemara's question is, according to the one that says that it's forbidden to do bia on Friday night, What's the difference? Here it's also to have the dam come out, and there it's to get the mucus to come out. And just like over there, when you want the fluids to come out, it's going to be permitted to pop the pimple. So why over here is not permitted to pop and get the blood out? What's the difference? Why here it's going to be usher, and why Shmuel say it's usher, and over there by Mapas Mursa we say it's going to be permitted. So that says the Gemara, Hasam over there by the fluid of the boil is pocket. The mucus is all gathered together and va'akar, and therefore it totally comes out from the flesh, meaning it's ready to come out. It's out. It's not inside the person's body. It's just encased in that bubble. Hacha over here, but the dam besulim, it's pocket. It's gathered below akar, and it's not totally uprooted from the body. It's a little bit absorbed in the walls. So even though it's not as connected as the other blood of all the other limbs, and it's gathered, but it is, however, similar to being connected, where it's not totally ready to go out like the fluid, and therefore it would still be considered as a chabur that would be forbidden, and therefore that's why Shmuel says that it's forbidden to go ahead and do this on Friday night, to have the biyah, because it's not exactly like that of the boil, and hence it would be forbidden. Thank you for any time.